Hello and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name is Chuck Wood and I'll be your host. I'm joined by my co-host, Megan Dooley. Megan?
Hey, nice to be back.
We have a very good show today. It's a show that we've actually a group that's been here a number of times, and we've actually have a couple stories, especially one story that we're going to tell. But the viewers are going to find this very, very informative, and can't wait to get into this. With us is Healing Hoofbeats. Healing Hoofbeats is out of Bethlehem, Bethlehem, Connecticut. I got to say that because we do have viewers that watch the show outside the state. To my far right is Renee Bouffard. She is a licensed clinical social worker, and we were talking earlier, she used to have about 15 other letters after that, and thank God that we deleted those.
Just for you.
I have a reputation of messing those up, and you know that. So we'll stick with licensed clinical social worker. Renee, you're the founder of Healing Hoofbeats, the executive director, licensed therapist, equine professional. You've done it all up there. For those that have been following the Veterans Corner for a while, I'm sure both of these women are no strangers to the show. We have Nicole Defelice. Nicole, it's been actually you've been here a couple times.
Yes, Nicole could not join me last time, so I had one of our other therapists join.
Nikki's, it's been a few years.
It has been. I missed you guys.
We do have a story to tell right after finish the introductions here, but Nikki's a U.S. combat war veteran, and she's an equine professional up at Healing Hoofbeats.
Yes, no acronyms for me.
Yeah,
Keep it simple for you today.
Thanks. I was going for another sip. Tell us a little about your military background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was in the Army. I was a 31 Bravo, served as military police for about 6 years. I deployed to Afghanistan in 2012, and it was a really incredible experience that shaped a lot of who I am today.
That's great. We want to thank you from the Veterans Corner staff and the viewers. We want to thank you very much for your service.
Oh, thanks for your support,
and Renee,
Chuck.
For those that haven't served, your importance of what you do for the veteran community
thank you.
is just as important, and we want to thank you also for what you do for the veterans.
Thank you. I feel so rewarded to be able to do this and to be able to give back to those who have served.
It's, we did say we were going to tell a quick story. Now, we were reminiscing before we started the show. This had to be about 4 years ago, maybe?
At least.
At least. It was back when we were using the round table.
Yes.
We had no director.
Yep.
We had no camera people. The staff here at Nutmeg, they were teaching a class, so no one could be in here. And the show went on. We taped the double header.
Yep.
And we had one camera in front of us. And an iPhone.
You were the director, the cameraman, the lighting guy, the sound guy.
Well, I have to give you two credit also, because without you helping me with the iPhone, doing the timing and everything else. Actually, there was an alarm, I think. The alarm went off.
Yeah,
if I remember right.
We kept you on track, bud.
Yeah, that was, it was one of the most memorable shows, but we did a great job.
We did. Yeah. Got it done.
Let's jump into this. Who is Healing Hoofbeats? How long have you been around?
Yeah, so
what do you do?
So Healing Hoofbeats is an equine and animal supported psychotherapy organization. So we are a group of mental health professionals who incorporate farm animals into our practice in helping humans heal. I founded Healing Hoofbeats back in 2016. And it was just me kind of renting out horses and renting out space at local farms. And then we have grown to be a group of 5 of us. We have our own farm now, as you said, in Bethlehem. And Nikki and I run our veterans program, Operation Warrior Horse. And so we are here for our community to help heal, you know, and as we know now, especially after COVID and as it's kind of still going, it's always needed.
Yeah, I mean, not only equine therapy, you're also a counselor up on the farm, so you see a lot of patients. Why horses?
So horses are really cool, and I will say not just horses, but many farm animals, because they are prey animals, right? And so naturally, or instinctually, I should say, we are predator animals. And so prey animals need to be able to really decipher the difference between predator and prey. And so that really makes their response time to us very quick. Right, and so horses, because they're big, right? They're much bigger than we are. They don't believe in masks or being able to hide, you know, what they're feeling and when they're feeling it. They will give us exactly what we need to know in real time. Whereas a conversation between 2 people might take a while for someone to say, you know what, I don't really like that so much, or can we try to change our interaction this way? Horses do that immediately.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of our clients and their relationships with their horse partner or whichever animal partner they choose on the farm is that it might be the first time that they're getting really congruent and clear information from someone else that they're having a relationship or a partnership with, and someone else who's very capable of setting a healthy boundary and asking them to do the same thing. And so I think that because this therapy is experiential, where it's not something where we're just talking about the intervention, we're actually carrying them out in real time, that has so much more value, and we see positive effects from it a lot faster.
You know, you had mentioned prey animals. Who would think that a 1,200, 1,400 pound animal is a prey animal?
They do have a humbling aspect to them, right, because of their size, but they are definitely a prey animal.
Very gentle creatures.
The first few times that I've had the pleasure and honor to start being associated with horses, you know, and I'm 6'1", 240, and the last thing, I mean, you're like, holy, you know, I won't say holy what, but it was, you know, I mean, the sheer size of them.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the other animals that you have?
So we have the horses. We also have goats, chickens, cats, and we have a therapy dog.
I remember the cats. I came up with a camera that one time.
Yes, you took some awesome shots.
They were extremely photogenic that day. The
they
cats
were very.
They were hanging around the pole. And
Yep.
It sounds wonderful, like a place where people could visit. So not only the horses, the goats, the chickens, the cats, but I was listening to an interesting story about how a disaster doctor, people who get flown out when there is a natural disaster, he had a lovely story about Queen Elizabeth II, where he was so traumatized by what happened when he was having lunch with her. His name is David Knott, and she realized that he was seizing up because of the trauma, and she broke off and said, "Want me to help you?" And he was feeding her corgis. And they spent 20 minutes feeding her corgis, and it calmed him down. And the line that really struck me was, there is nothing like putting your hands on an animal. And when I think about gentle animals, I think of that soft, velvety muzzle of a horse. And before we dive into our next series of questions, is there a certain bond between a horse and a rider that has really struck out to you?
I'm honestly, I think that they all do. You know, I think that every relationship that is fostered at the farm is really unique. And what I really, for me, is always profound is that we do have a lot of people who come from various different walks of life, many of whom have endured trauma at some point that has happened with another human, right? And so, like Nikki was saying, it's really hard for them to trust. It's really hard to be able to know what a healthy relationship is, and to see that growth and to see that interaction is really powerful.
And now we're entering a season where your work is now more important than ever. Can we discuss what it is about the seasons and how they do affect someone's mental health?
Yeah, you know, winter is coming, as everybody says.
I think it's here.
It is. It feels like it today.
Temperature-wise.
You know, and so the days get shorter, right? People just kind of naturally tend to hunker down and be inside more and not outside as much. And so that can absolutely affect, you know, what's going on with us mentally. You know, and so being able to get outside more, being able to, you know, as much as sometimes it can be really cold out, just getting that breath of fresh air can really help to boost your energy and boost your mood.
Yeah, I think too, even just making a conscious effort or being mindful of having some physical activity still,
Yes.
because like you were saying, I think sometimes when the temperatures drop, we sort of have this sense of like, let's just snuggle up and watch movies and hang out with family, you know? And when what we really need to be doing is still moving our bodies, still getting out under the sun, you know, getting that vitamin D and soaking it all up, because your body really does need that, and it biologically does influence your feelings, your emotions, and your mental health.
Yeah.
And if you guys can't tell, I'm a horse girl. I mean, it's written all over my face. But what's interesting is now we're talking about humans, but how does the horse's behavior change in the weather too?
So it will definitely change seasonally, right? In the summertime, we see them kind of be a little bit more stagnant because it's hot out and they're reserving their energy. In the springtime and in the fall time, they have those bursts of energy and they love to run around and frolic and play around a lot more. And in the winter, they spend a lot of their time trying to store energy. So they're eating a lot more, they're not as playful, but they do get their bodies moving as they need to in order to stay warm.
I never have related to an animal more in my life. I will be honest about that. So, but you talked about we need to be outside, we need to have that vitamin D, and in order to really combat what I guess they're calling it seasonal affective disorder is getting that fresh bounce of air. So what are other ways that we can do to increase that so we don't fall into that seasonal depression?
Yeah. So a lot of what we love to do at the farm is again, be outside. We have farm animals, so they don't get to come in the office.
As much as you would love that too.
I've tried.
So, you know, so being outside, whether it's just sitting and having a cup of coffee and watching the birds, going for hikes, you know, finding something new within your setting to be able to go explore and just kind of get all of your senses moving.
Yeah, and really like embracing those colder weather activities, right? There's like stuff like snowshoeing, which is really fun for a lot of people, skiing. Like I think it's really important in these seasons to find something that you enjoy in the great outdoors and then go and do that thing as much as you can.
Yeah.
It's important. It's important to get out there. I mean, and we're not only talking about the moods and all that. We're all, you know, the holidays are coming up. That kicks off a lot of mental health issues.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, last month was Suicide Prevention Month. We unfortunately we weren't able to get any guests, you know, to talk about suicide last month.
But
and
the
that's obvious.
statistics, every 20 minutes we lose, or 22 minutes, 27, I think, we lose a veteran to suicide.
Yeah, and that's just veterans. How have you found with the treatments with the horses, and you know, we'll just touch on this a little bit, the suicide.
Sure. Yeah, I think a lot of the times suicide comes into people's mind because there isn't another option, right? We've tried everything. There's no purpose. Why bother, you know, continuing on? I would be, my family, my loved ones would be better off without me. I'm a burden. All those kinds of thoughts can really be very intrusive, you know, and so one of the things that we do to help is helping them recognize that they do have a purpose, you know, that there are people that can help. And, you know, one of the things that I love about us is that we are very non-traditional in our therapy, right? It's experiential, we're outside, we're working with other living beings. And so just that atmosphere can help give a purpose, right? That I have to make it to my next appointment because Sparky is waiting for me.
Yeah.
You know, and that, just that sense. You think about having a dog in your house, right? Your dog, you have to let it outside, you have to feed it. Having that sense of purpose can really help just having somebody continue on.
Yeah, or even being able to identify the symptoms a little bit earlier on, I think is something that can be very beneficial. Like if they're starting to experience some hopelessness, or they're not enjoying, hobbies anymore that they once used to. Those are all kind of early indicators that we might need to be asking for some additional support.
You know, we would mention some numbers, 22, it's actually 22 a day.
22 a day.
That's just veterans.
Yeah.
And that number, has been determined to be extremely low. That's a number they've been using for quite some time. I'm sure you heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that probably came out about 10 years ago. I know it's
much higher.
It is much higher.
That's a day. 22 suicides a day just for veterans. And those stats weren't taken, I believe, my memory serves me right, not in the state of Texas. And also those numbers weren't, the numbers of the National Guard weren't put in there. Now, who's taking the brunt of it now? The National Guard.
Yeah.
Well, not now. It's been happening since 2001.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these numbers, whenever you hear that on TV, that's just a number they're throwing out there, but the numbers are far greater.
Right.
This is precisely what we do to highlight resources that veterans can use. And what better than healing Hoofbeats, because for horses, all the experiences that I've had with them is they're so in tune to a person's mood. And do you have a story about maybe a horse when they picked up on someone who was hurting and was able to bring them out of that dark spot?
Yeah, I think it really is the relationship, right? That because they are bonded, and again, horses just ask for us to be present and for us to be congruent. So if we're having an ugly day, if we're having a really hard time, don't mask it, right? And just be honest about it, and then they will be there. And that connection right there is what you see and what helps bring that person out of that dark spot. That if I can just be in my ugly and you're still going to be there with me, thank you, and that's all that the horses ask, is that we're congruent and that we be present and that we're honest about what it is that we're feeling, and they will help us through it.
Yeah, and we've really had the opportunity to see some beautiful moments play out in our program. So we have a program called Operation Warrior Horse that Renee and I facilitate that is specifically for veterans. And like I was saying, we've had the honor of seeing like true connection happen for some of our veterans for the very first time in their lives. And so it's incredibly powerful for us to be able to facilitate that moment for them, because then they'll carry that with them into their relationships in the future. And just the ripple effect is incredible, and the positive change it imparts in their life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some people who are sitting maybe right now watching this program going, this would never work. The horses, for whatever reason, might be too timid or think that they won't have that connection. And you say, don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
You had mentioned Operation Warrior Horse.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't say in the beginning of this is this is a two-part series.
You're going to have us come back? Are you sure?
Can I have you come back? Actually, we're not going to let you leave.
Exactly. There you go.
The door's locked, sorry.
So, this is actually a two-part series, and the second episode is going to be on Operation Warriors. A very, very, it's a great program. I've heard of the story so many times. I know there's a lot of updates coming up.
Oh, there are. Yes, plenty.
We were talking about things around the farm as far as helping out. Is there anything else that you missed that you might want to, any other opportunities that can help with the moods and the disorders and all that?
Yeah, I think coming up to the farm, being able to just interact with the animals. We've got probably 3.5 acres of uncleared land. So just being able to kind of walk through the woods, We always do have volunteer opportunities, and I know I'm someone who loves to give back and loves to get my hands dirty, right? And sometimes that feels really great, you know, and that kind of goes in tune with being able to get outside, being able to keep your body moving and all of that. So we always do offer that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, and then as far as for people who perhaps are not a veteran but are feeling like they maybe need some additional support, we do offer individual psychotherapy for people of all ages and across all diagnoses. We have some group therapy opportunities. So our doors are really open to anyone who's in need. Come on up to the farm, engage with our animals. You'll have a great time.
It's important for the public to know that this is a veteran show. We're talking about veterans' opportunities, and, you know, with Healing Hoofbeats. But the public needs to know that it's not just a veterans facility.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're in need of therapy, obviously you don't have to be a veteran to go up to Healing Hoofbeats.
Yeah.
That's important for them to know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So
We touched upon this slightly about being there and helping others, but what are some signs that you and your team look in when helping these veterans to recognize the signs that, like, mental health help might be warranted?
So sleep patterns are always really important, right? Are you sleeping too much? Are you not sleeping enough? Are you getting outside of your home? You know, what are your relationships like with either, you know, your family or those in your community? Do you have a community? Those are some really big ones, because if those aren't intact, or if we don't see those things, then that can definitely be an indicator that it's time to seek some help.
yeah, there's so many indicators. It's not one size fits all.
Right. Right.
You have to know the person that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
What may be an indicator for that person won't be an indicator for the next person.
Right.
Yeah.
Not that I went to school for that, but I kind of.
You sounded like a professional.
It sounded
Yeah.
Let's throw the website up there, just so if the viewers want to get in touch with you and look for more information.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's www.healinghoofbeats of CT.org. I'm doing this without my
Where your
glasses.
glasses come in.
Yeah, I put them away. It's on the screen right now for the viewers.
Yeah.
So it's Healing Hoofbeats of Connecticut. That's CT.org. A great reference for more information on Healing Hoofbeats. Now we've only got a few minutes left. But one thing we wanted to touch on this show, because it's probably going to be airing before the second one, is your fundraiser.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple minutes. Why don't you talk to us about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a fundraiser coming up in the fall on October 22nd. It's specifically to support Operation Warrior Horse. So it's a charity hike. People will come on down, meet us at the farm in Morris. We're adjacent to White Memorial Conservation Center. So it's 4,000 acres of just beautifully manicured trails. And we kind of all get out on the trails as a group and hike to spread some awareness about warrior wellness and Operation Warrior Horse, and all the funds that are generated at that fundraiser go directly towards establishing scholarships so that veterans can participate in Operation Warrior Horse at no cost to them.
Now you said Morris.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the main facility in Bethlehem.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Is that the old facility?
Yes. So
Okay.
the Morris, where this fundraiser is going to be, is our old is our old facility in Morris, because it opens up right into White Memorial.
And I remember I went to one of those fundraisers.
Yes. Yeah. You went to our first one.
Yep.
And that's once again, it's October 22nd. What time was it again?
It's from 11 till 2.
11 to 2, and the address.
Is 94 Isaiah Smith Lane
That's right.
in Morris.
That's right.
Oh, and then just to add on that, if people want to join and they aren't able to hike, that's okay.
Yes.
We're having a Warrior Wellness celebration immediately after the hike. That starts at noon. There's live music. We have a barbecue going on. Everybody can come down, meet the therapy animals, and just support Warrior Wellness and be a part of that celebration as well.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Listen, it's that's all the time we have. It goes by fast. Like I said, we're going to do a second episode
Right.
on Warrior Horse, and I want to thank you very much for being here again. It was
Thanks for
it was
having
great
us.
seeing this.
Oh,
It really
thank you
was.
for having us.
With that being said, we got to run. Thanks for being here. To the viewers, thanks for watching. See you next time on the Veterans Corner. Good night.
Good night.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.